not a game, it's a rich thing.
What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Neil and I make mountain biking videos like this to share my passion in mountain biking and share some mountain biking stoke to you guys. As you all know, I messed up my original Bronson frame and I had to contact Santa Cruz, which they have excellent customer service by the way, and they were able to provide me a new 2020 complete Bronson frame. So now I have to swap the components from my old frame to the new one. So this of course happened during the pandemic, and the bike shops, either they're closed or their service department is severely backlogged. So I just decided to do the swap myself. And I thought, it's a good opportunity to learn about the bike, learn how stuff works and how to build a frame, how to build a bike from the frame up. So of course I had to buy some tools for this job. So I'll leave some links in the description below of what tools I used and where I got them. And I really hope that you guys will find this video helpful in the future, especially for those DIYers out there who likes to tinker with their bikes. So yeah, let's get into the business. All right, so the first step I did was to install the bottom bracket. Santa Cruz uses the 73mm threaded BB. So I just used the Sram dub bottom bracket for ease and compatibility with my crankset. Before you install them, make sure that you know which type and how many spacers you need to use. You can check them out online or read the instructions included in the bottom bracket. So for my specific frame, it's a BSA type with a 73mm width, so I don't need inner spacers. And I only have to attach the 4.5mm external spacer on the right side, the drive side of the bottom bracket. So first, put some grease on your BB shell. So you just need to thread these bad boys, starting on the non-drive side, and then the drive side is reverse threaded. I bought this bottom bracket tool by Bike Hand, which has a 1/2-inch socket, and I got this Tecton torque wrench and torqued them down to 15 Newton meters. So the next thing I needed to do was to take out the fork from my old frame, and in order to do that I needed to disconnect some of the cables. So after removing the wheels and placing stoppers on my brake calipers, I disconnected the brake hose from the rear brake using a small wrench, and you'll see SRAM's olive here called thingamajig, this red thing, and we'll deal with that red thing later. Also, we had to remove the derailleur cable and the housing. And you can just pull the housing from the frame. Now we can take out the fork and the handlebar together and set it aside. Also the headset, of course, take out the top and the bottom bearing. So now we go back to the brake hose. I have the SRAM codes and they use this special olive thing called thingamajig, and it's pretty expensive. I think it's like $6 for just one set. So I tried to remove and reuse them, but it's a pain in the ass. So I just decided to cut them off so I can pull them out of the frame. Back to the caliper side, we can just slowly pull out the housing. It just takes a little patience, but it's pretty easy. The next step is to remove the derailleur and the derailleur hanger. And also my MRP chain guide and bash guard. Go ahead and remove the rear shock and make sure I don't lose those small flip chips. Alright, so let's talk about one mistake I did. I have a Cane Creek 40 integrated headset and I accidentally pulled apart the top assembly, which includes the top shell, a small spacer, the blue split compression ring, and this type of sealing ring. And I have to look for videos and manuals on how to reassemble this thing. Okay, so now we are ready to start transferring the components to my new frame. Starting with the headset, make sure you got a good amount of grease on the head tube. Santa Cruz uses an integrated headset, so you just need to place the bearings into place. Make sure the tapered side on both the top and bottom bearing is facing towards the frame. So I figured out the Cane Creek headset top assembly goes in this sequence. The ring with the blue rubbery seal first, and then you have to put in the split compression ring right after you put the stereo tube in, and then the spacer, and then finally the top shell. So I just left the crown race on the fork, cleaned it, and then I greased it again and then installed the fork into the head tube. After that, you just add the stem spacers that you need and the handlebar. So just install the top cap and tighten it just enough to remove any play between the fork and the headset. If you still have some movement after tightening the top cap, make sure you push the split compression ring properly into the stereo tube and you install the bearings the right way, which is in this case the tapered side towards the frame, of course. So initially I tried to snake the cable housing through the frame without using any tools, and it was pretty frustrating and pretty hard to do in my opinion, especially on this Santa Cruz frame. So I got this cable routing tool from Icetoolz. It's pretty similar to the one that Park Tool makes, and it's a little bit cheaper, but it works well, and it made the process much easier. So you can basically do this in different ways. The main idea is there's a magnet on one side, and on the other side you can attach the hydraulic housing or cable housing. And then you can use a separate magnet to route the cable through the housing. So in this case, to install the rear brakes, I attached it to the cut hose, the lever side, and I used the magnet to route the tool towards the front. Once I got the tool through, I can just carefully pull it out with the attached brake housing. After that, you can just attach the thingamajig set. Thankfully, the Sram bleeding kit that I bought includes these little devils, so I don't have to waste more money. Screw in the barbed threads and the housing, and then use the red olive, which is reverse threaded. Make sure that thing is flush, and attach it back to the brake levers. Next, you can install the derailleur cable and the shifters. Use the routing tool again to route the cable housing. Then install the cable and derailleur in place. After that, we can start working on the dropper post. On the RockShox Reverb that I have, it's pretty easy to remove the cable from the lever. First, you want to dial out the speed all the way to the slowest setting using a Torx key. Then, as you can see here, you can just twist it or unscrew it out by hand. And then you can carefully pull it out of the frame. This time though, I inserted the routing tool using the barbed thread from front to back so I can connect the housing and pull it through the front of the bike. To install the lever, just simply twist it back in and while putting a little force towards the lever. You can now install all your brake, shifter, and dropper levers and dial in your cockpit. So at this point, you can also put the wheels on and work on attaching the crankset. Grease the spindle, and don't forget to install any external spacers in your bottom bracket according to the instruction manual. With the Sram dub crankset, make sure you remove any slack by rotating this dial out and tightening the bolt slightly. Torque this baby to 54 Newton meters and we are done. Finally, when both wheels are on the ground and the bike upright, you can tighten up your stem to torque specs. After torquing the stem to spec, we can ease out on the top cap bolt. And there you are, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope it'll help you do your own component swaps in the future. So when I rode the new frame for the first time, I didn't really feel that I need to bleed the brakes and the dropper post, but I did buy bleed kits for them, and I will eventually do it and make videos about them, of course. And also one thing I need to do after the swap is to dial in my shifting, and I'll make a short separate video on that as well in the future. So please like this video, leave your comments below, let me know what you think about the video. For the pros out there, maybe comment on what I did wrong or what you would do differently. I'm pretty happy with the results for now, and for sure, just having the right tools made the process a lot easier. So time to get some miles on this thing, and I'll see you guys on the next video.